Okay, on that though, Dave, so many times through, particularly Romans 8, it opens, it closes with, if God is for us, who can be against us, and nothing can separate us. But that doesn't always look like it in every day. If I'm thinking about the family who's battling sickness or there's financial challenges, it's like, yeah, it doesn't look like God's for me. And of course we know that one of the most misquoted verses, we know that all things God works together for good, and it kind of stops there. So how do you reconcile that, Dave?
Well, you got to finish that verse. All things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. So I've got to walk by the calling. If you read in Matthew 6, when it talks about the Lord's Prayer, there's a hallowed be your name, which is worship and reverence, through to your kingdom come, your will be done. I'm not the king, you're the king, and I want what's in heaven to happen on earth, and I realize I'm an agent of that. Then I'm ready to ask. So what I'm looking at is I'm actually submitting to God's calling and will. So all things work together for good for those who love the Lord, who are called according to His purpose. So I submit to His will. Therefore, when the difficult times come, I know that He's Lord, and I know that whether I see Hebrews 11 talks about this huge hall of faith, hall of fame of faith, of people that just didn't see the promise in their lifetime. But we realize we're building something, a kingdom of God, which is way bigger than we could ever imagine or ask or dream or think. And so we see the promise in eventuality when we get to heaven. Sometimes you'll see that, many times you'll see that in step by step while you're here. But all things work together for good because God is actually doing something way larger than I could ever imagine on my behalf for His kingdom. And I'm going to submit to Him. And so what that means then is I have peace, I have life and peace through difficulty. And Paul was talking to a Roman church who was in the middle of persecution and suffering. And Romans 8 doesn't minimize the suffering. What it does is it magnifies what it produces and where it leads. And so in the middle of all of those difficult things, I'm not going to get swayed by the temptation to isolate, reject, get angry, get fearful, blame. God's not my cosmic Santa that I'm hoping to get my Christmas card list from. He is the Lord writing a story that I can't even comprehend. It's like God is the size of the Pacific Ocean and my brain is the size of a Coke can. How could I comprehend the magnitude of God? I'm just going to say, yes, God, my life is in your hands. And so I think that makes sense of that. So He's going to turn all things together for good, Jack. It's totally happening for those who love Him, who are called according to His purpose and say yes to Him. In the middle of difficulty, He's building something.
Maybe you shared last episode, Bex, or somewhere, maybe in person, and we might not see what that good is in our lifetime, but in maybe in light of eternity, we can see that good play out. Yeah. Do you want to perhaps speak to that perspective?
Yeah, I think, we talked about it from, I can't remember what example I used, but I know that in the book of Peter, 2 Peter, I think, Paul says, Peter, I can't speak today. Peter's saying to this group of Christians who are being horrifically persecuted and they're desperate for Jesus to return. And he's like, hey, God's actually not slow with His promises. He's patient so that as many people as, this is my paraphrase, so that as many people as possible will come to know Him. And I think, gosh, I'm glad that Jesus didn't answer the prayers of that particular early church. They were desperate for Jesus to return to rescue them out of their suffering. But because He didn't answer the prayers the way that they wanted Him to do, we now get to benefit and receive Jesus. We wouldn't even exist if Jesus had come back all those years ago that they were praying for. And by the same token, Paul, with the book of Romans, I think we spoke about this, he was desperate to get to the Roman church to be with them. And out of his frustration that he couldn't get there, he wrote the book of Romans, which is to our benefit. And it's that tapestry idea, right? We only see it from the back where it's a mess, but God's weaving something and we're going to get to glory and see it. And